stealing from the words of best broadcaster in the business, best play-by-play guy in the business, Tony Caridi. It is a sad day to be a Mountaineer, wherever you may be, because today, June 17th, 2023, at 9:31 p.m., Bob Huggins has officially resigned as the head coach of the West Virginia Mountaineer basketball team. Can you turn that off, please? It's distracting. We're live here, guys. Live television, baby. You never know what's going to happen. Phones might go off. You might see some cats. I'm probably going to have to clear my throat about 40 times because my allergies today are crazy. But Paul and I are going to bring you the news today, guys, and we're going to discuss this Bob Huggins situation. We are live on Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, on Couz's Corner, and on Hoops from the Hills. We normally don't bring you basketball news on the on Mountaineer Paul or Couz's Corner, but this is an extreme situation. So felt like it was important to do so. Want to make sure we were able to reach as many people as possible with this conversation. So, Paul, and by the way, this was reported first by Jeff Goodman, and we saw it from our friend of the show, Ethan Bach, who's a friend of the show from West Virginia Sports Now.
Yeah.
Paul, what are your initial thoughts, man?
Before we get started, guys, we've already got 50 people. We're probably going to get way up there. If you want us to see your comment and point it out, hit that super chat button on either. If you're on Couz's, if you're on mine, we'll figure it out later. Really appreciate that. But initial thoughts are frustration, man. I think a lot of Mountaineer fans are pitying themselves right now. I've seen several people, and you and I have discussed off camera before this news even broke this morning that the DUI had happened, that we feel cursed. You can point to Oscar in that situation and him becoming player of the year afterwards. You can go 13-9. You can go Big East dissolving and us not finding a conference to be in that was anywhere near where we recruit at. We can go on and on and on about it, but the Bob Huggins situation is really just the culmination of what is really truly are the dark days and times of being a Mountaineer fan. Even baseball had a horrible ending, right? And so there's not been much to speak of to be happy about at all. This situation here is extremely tragic as far as I wouldn't compare it to obviously the law like DeMar Hamlin or that situation, but we're talking about one of the greatest coaches of all time who had his best possible team. You can talk about maybe two or three other squads with this. The 2010 team that went to the Final Four. You can talk about the Cincinnati team, which Kenyon Martin broke his leg with. And you can talk about that K-State squad that he had with Bill Walker and those guys. Those are the teams that this team was going to be mentioned alongside of. And now that history is over before it ever begins.
Yeah, you're right. It's sad, man. I'm actually on my. It's going to be hard to do this show because I'm almost speechless as far as his actual resigning goes. I mean, we all knew the day would come that he would resign, right? But we thought it would be because he was ready to walk away from the game and enjoy life after basketball. But before I get into that, though, guys, let's read the statement, and I'll share it on the screen for you. First off, I'm going to show Ethan Bach's tweet, and then we'll get into the report by Jeff Goodman. But here it says, actually, this is Ethan's article. It says, WVU head coach Bob Huggins resigns after DUI charge. West Virginia head coach Bob Huggins met with the basketball team on Saturday night to inform them that he will not be coaching next season. A source told WV Sports Now. Huggins, who is third on the all-time wins list, was charged with a DUI on Friday night in Pittsburgh. The team was notified about an emergency meeting at around 8:30 p.m., which is only about an hour ago, to where Huggins addressed the group. Huggins is resigning from his position, according to the arrest. And then it goes on to share the arrest report, which Paul's already talked about earlier today. We don't need to rehash that. Now, let's share the Jeff Goodman report, which I think has a little bit more detail about Huggins' resignation. Jeff Goodman on Twitter says, breaking, West Virginia Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins has informed his team that he won't be coaching them and intends to resign following last night's DUI incident, source told at stadium. Staff members and coaches were in tears as Huggins delivered the news around 9 p.m. Eastern Time, source told at stadium. Huggins told the players that he was unsure who would be coaching them this season. Huggins, 69, has 935 career victories and has a pair of Final Four appearances. The DUI comes about 6 weeks after. The DUI comes about 6 weeks after he made homophobic comments on a Cincinnati radio show. Huggins was suspended for the first 3 games of next season, and his contract was altered to a year-by-year agreement, and he also had his pay reduced by $1 million. According to the complaint, Huggins recorded a blood alcohol level of .210 on Friday night. So there you have it. Says the staff members and coaches were in tears. Bob Huggins is a loved man. All indications are he's a good man. And I want to take this opportunity, Paul, if you don't mind, since I didn't get to join you this morning, can I give my thoughts on the entire situation real quick? You mind?
No.
I don't mean to take over the show, but I haven't had a chance to talk about it. So basically, I think this is probably the ending that needed to happen after this, because I've been a Bob Huggins supporter all along. I didn't think we did a show about the slur incident. I didn't think he should have been fired for that. But to me, he should have been let go for this or resigned for this, because multiple reasons. Number one, to me, and I think Pete Mundo over at Heartland College Sports said it best. There's an old saying called "Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt me." And DUI is a stick and stone. It's not words. I mean, he's fortunate somebody didn't get hurt or even killed last night. Okay, number one, or even himself. That's number one. I think what he did in that, as far as driving under the influence, was worse than the slur he said on the radio. Number two, he's on probation already. After the incident a month ago, he was already on thin ice anyway, so he should have been more cautious about what he was doing. And it was an extremely poor use of judgment to do what he did. And is that if he's using that much poor judgment in his personal life, what kind of judgment is he using as a coach of the team? And then thirdly, and I've seen some people on social media saying, well, this is just a mistake and all this. I get that. But not every job in America is created equally, okay? Bob Huggins, yes, he's a basketball coach. And I saw some people say, well, he's just a basketball coach. He's more than that, guys. Coaches do more, and I just coached basketball today. I coached 6 games in 2 days. Basketball coaches are more than just teaching a game. They're influencing young people, man. He's teaching these young men how to be young men, how to be husbands, fathers, good citizens. And you do that, number one, by leading by example. Okay? And what kind of example was he setting for these young men? And two, he has to enforce rules. And how can you enforce rules and be respected when you can't even follow rules yourself? You see what I'm saying? So when you're a leader like Bob Huggins was, you can't do that. You're on there's a different level of expectation for you than Joe Blow down the street like us, Now, like for me, I have a job where I drive a lot. If I get a DUI, I'm automatically fired because I can't do my job, right? But somebody that doesn't drive might be able to get a DUI and still keep their job. But when you're a leader of a team or even an organization for that matter, you're at a higher level of expectations, and he let a lot of people down. I still love Bob Huggins, and I always will. He's done so many good things for this state, for the University of West Virginia, for cancer research. The good he's done goes way beyond, in my opinion, the bad he's done. But the bad he's done is adding up, and at some point, you gotta let him go, man. To me, as a university, it would have been an embarrassment if they had not, if he had still been our head coach next season. It would have been an absolute embarrassment to us, to the state, and to the university. So that's my statement on the situation. Now, Paul, what are your thoughts on the team aspect of this, the basketball aspect of this?
Yeah, while you were giving that soliloquy, I was trying to figure out where we go, from here, because obviously there's so many different ways to look at it. I was very honest on my show earlier today. I'm a person that comes, I have, for lack of a better way to put it, conquered my demons, put my past behind me, gotten over my addictions, and here I stand, a new man with with the new life in ahead of me, 3 years clean. And so on some levels, I sympathize and empathize with what Hugs is going through, probably differently than other people do. And so it's hard for me to just whacking for things that, if I were to name the things I've done, it completely puts that to shame. That's just me being completely honest and objective.
Right.
With that said, you do have to cut bait, obviously. Like you said, I'm not held to the same level of responsibility as Bob Huggins, and I do understand that. As far as the team aspect of this, we've got, at points we've had the number one transfer portal class in the country. I think it still would be in the running for that. As it stands, definitely top 8.
Yeah.
And the likelihood is, I would say it's probably 70-30 that 2, 3, possibly all of them go. Yes, there is money involved. I've spoken with people in the program. Yes, for sure, there's money involved. There are contracts, for lack of a better word for that, on the line. So maybe that helps. But we all know that tampering is rampant in this industry, college football and basketball, women's and men's. And if you were to look at the cell phone of Jose Perez, Raekwon Battle, Jesse Edwards, Kirk Risa, and others on the roster, I would venture to say they've probably been reached out through other back channels or what have you, probably with some tempting offers already. I was told today that a certain person on the team is confident he can keep this team together. This is straight from the good source, so there is that aspect of it. He believes he can keep the team together. Do I believe him? The person that this is, if he says it, I believe that there's a chance for it. But there's too many personalities. Kirk Risa likened Bob Huggins' loyalty to his truck. And from everything I've read and heard, Kirk Risa is in Morgantown because of Bob Huggins, not really many other reasons. And so what's this mean for him and other players like him? It's a tough situation. And then obviously, is there a solution within a coaching search? If West Virginia makes a splash hire, like a Chris Beard, obviously he's not on the table, but like a Chris Beard type hire, would that staunch the bleeding? You ask yourself those kind of questions. You've heard the names John Beeline thrown out there. You hear guys, former Frank Martin, guys like that could be 1 or 2 year stop gaps. And I just don't know the answers. It's going to take time to research and put together a list, really, for a replacement for somebody that has as big as shoes to fill as Bob Huggins, as flawed as he was.
Yeah. Guys, before we keep going here, I'm going to try to get to a few of these comments here. But before we keep going, guys, we've got over 200 people in the chat. So please, if you want to, there's no way for us to get to every comment. So if you want to make sure we see your comment, drop a super chat down at the bottom. It'll either say something or it might say super chat. And obviously it's in the box where you leave your comment, and it'll highlight it for us and we can see it. Otherwise, there's a chance we may miss it. Right now, this one by Trey Sargent says, I was told by Jose Perez today he knew nothing about it, but said he's keeping everything together. And Trey, I think since you've talked to him, I've seen Jose put out a tweet earlier today about it. I think it was just an emoji, like the hand on the head emoji. So I think he does know about it. And obviously Hugs has had a meeting with the team, so he knows about it by now. But I do appreciate you chiming in with that. And earlier I saw Talk is Pitt on here. I'm not Talk is Pitt, but talking college football with JJ Kitchen. I don't know why I say Talk is Pitt. Anyway, but he says, as a Pitt fan, I feel for Huggins as he is a Hall of Fame coach. Today's outcome was needed. But, man, His career shouldn't have ended like this. Lack of judgment did him in. Well said. And if you guys want to go check out his show called Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen, he's a Pitt fan for you West Virginia fans, but he's very informative.
He's fair.
He's fair, and he's a good dude, man. He really is. He and I will, I'm sure we'll get together at some point and do in football season and do our backyard brawl preview show like we did last year. I saw a couple really good comments here. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, just real quick, guys, if you're not subscribed to Hoops from the Hills, apologies, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football or Couz's Corner, whichever one of these 3 platforms that you're watching this show on right now, please subscribe to one of those 3 channels, wherever you're watching it. If you're watching it and you want to have a dialogue about this after the fact, after this live is over with, please drop a comment below. And last but not least, guys, there's 212, 216 in there right now. Can you move your finger just a couple inches and click that like button so we can thrust this thing into the algorithm? We're a smaller show, guys. 200 is a way more than we're used to having in our chat, just to be honest. And so this could really help us if you guys could just click the like button.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're on Mountaineer Paul Talks Football or Couz's Corner, you'll have a super chat option. If you're in the Hoops from the Hills channel, you may not, and that's fine. Hang around. We ask you to hang around, but you can help us by liking, commenting, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so. Now, I wanted to touch on this comment by Lord Raiden. He says, when the first scandal came out, he was told that WVU could have their pick of top line coaches. That's interesting to know, Lord Raiden. I had not heard that. It doesn't necessarily surprise me because I think West Virginia is a respected program for the most part. I think Ren Baker's a respected athletic director. And I think Gordon Gee is a respected president. So I think we can get a good coach. Now, my only concern now is it's so late in the game, there's not going to be a lot of guys to pick from. I saw somebody mention Brad Underwood earlier. Brad Underwood is a coach, I think, at Illinois, maybe, which I think is his alma mater, so I doubt he's leaving. But I do hope they get a good hire. I think we have a super chat. John Waffle, H2P. Another Pitt fan in the house. Thank you for the super chat, $4.99 super chat. He says Taylor Swift apparently trashed WVU at the concert tonight. Okay, I'm not sure about what. I mean, what's
probably this news?
Well,
she's got a concert in Pittsburgh, whatever.
I got 2 words for Taylor Swift, and I can't say them on the show, so we'll leave it.
Thanks for the super chat, man. No, seriously.
Yeah. Thank you. I do appreciate you.
You can talk all the shit you want if you're going to do a super chat.
But yeah, and I'm not upset with you, John Waffle. I'm not a huge fan of Taylor Swift anyway, man. So so that's I got to keep my opinions to myself about her.
That's a pretty.
But I do appreciate the super chat.
I've seen this thrown out here about Alex Ruoff. Emily, really appreciate the comment. Alex Ruoff is not prepared to step into this situation yet, in my opinion. He's just not experienced enough. We're talking about a John Beeline, a Patino before he was off the market. Somebody like that is the kind of coach I personally believe that can staunch the bleeding. Or if there's somehow somebody in-house that the players all agree on for 1 year, I would be okay with that too. Of utmost importance for the future of this program, I believe it's highly important that we try to keep this class together. This team, as it is assembled now, can win games, no matter who the coach is. Talent wins out. And I think for 1 year or two, you go with a coach that is going to keep this team together. Maybe I'm wrong in that thinking. Maybe you hire a guy that can build it for the future and just say whatever happens, happens. I guess I'm just not ready to let go of this class. Yeah. It's not my decision, but I mean, who wants to let this thing go? It's just such a kick in the teeth for so many of us.
Yeah, thanks, Jess Kelly, for correcting me. It says Underwood's alma mater is Kansas State. I wasn't aware of that. I thought I heard somewhere that it was Illinois, but I could be totally wrong on that. So, but anyway, thanks for that. Eric Flowers says, I bet Dan Jokic will be all over this, and he is. Trust me, I've already seen a couple of his tweets.
I don't even go that route. I won't even look because that just makes me too mad.
Scotty B, the Baylor King, says, I would say interim coach. then try to find another head coach after next season is over. I've actually thought about that too, because if there's an assistant coach on the staff that the players really like and really respect, maybe he can keep the roster together. And as far as the roster goes, Paul, I wanted to, you were talking about the transfers, and it's something you and I were talking about earlier. Somebody mentioned to me on social media, they just passed a new transfer rule just this year, and I'm not sure these guys will be able to get a waiver again, that have already transferred once. I know they can get a waiver, and I know losing a coach is special circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you only get it to do that once, right? I'm not sure you can do that again.
In a situation like this, the likelihood of them getting a waiver is likely because they haven't practiced together yet.
But it's a risk.
The Jose, it is a risk, and it is I guess you could call it a deterrent at this point. But listen, man, these kids are not always advised the best, and I'm sure there are people from making them promises. You know, I mean, I already saw what's the guy's name, the Swain show or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the tweet he put out. That's all he was curious. That's all he was worried about was where are these players going to go. Yeah. That's what everybody wants to know. That's probably going to end up being a bigger story than what happens to Hugs going forward. You know, with these players. That's what everybody's going to be focused on now. Hugs is once he's gone, this will go for about a week, and then it's on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Appreciate Kitchen. I figured I'd put that comment up.
Yeah, appreciate that. By the way, guys, I put a comment up earlier from Scotty B, the Better King, and I can't find it now. But anyway, go check him out on my Scotty B does he writes for Baylor over on my website, couzscorner.com. If you're a Baylor fan or want to read up on Baylor sports, go check him out. And you know, catch up on your Baylor sports news. He does a good job over there. Big
what
Dan
is this
T.
comment?
Oops, this is Big Dan T's mom. LOL.
I thought that was funny.
That is funny, and maybe it is his mom. But either way, Big Dan T's a channel member at Couz's Corner, so
yep,
he gets channel members also get their chats read. They get precedent over others because they do pay that monthly membership. So we got John Kelly in the house and Chris Long, Joe Mazzulla. I want to put this to bed real quick. The Joe Mazzulla thing. Joe Mazzulla has plainly stated matter of fact, Bob Huggins said this himself. Joe Mazzulla has told Bob Huggins he has no interest in coaching college basketball. His dream has been all along to coach in the NBA. That's where he's at. So why would he leave to go to college?
Some people pointed. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm pretty much done.
Some people have pointed out the fact that he was almost fired after this year. He made it to the finals, Eastern Conference Finals, and they're basing their opinions on that, saying, "Look how finicky the league is," and he was almost fired after such a great year.
Right.
So I mean, that's grasping at straws, obviously. Super chat though, Snow Lord 999 1999. All this happened on my birthday too. I turned 24. Well, sorry about that, man. Happy belated birthday. Unless you're talking about today. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat, man. Absolutely. And Big Dan T, by the way, just texted me, and it was indeed his mom.
Oh, okay. Now there is a name. That's the home run hire at Chris DeSiston. Although I've looked into this. I looked into this. Whatever the scandal, first thing happened with the whatever he said about Catholics and stuff. Jay Wright is pretty happy in retirement. I'll just go that far. But would he come out for this class? I mean, this class, look, the right coach would look at this and say, man, I would have a shot with that class. And, maybe a Beeline or a Jay Wright comes out of retirement for a class like this. I don't know. We got 2 more super chats, Couz.
We do? Okay, let's hit them.
Yeah.
We've got John Waffle H2P again. Thank you, John. Says, what about Mike D'Antonio? Interesting name.
Interesting name. That's an NBA coach. That'd be a splash hire for sure. He's getting up there in age too. He's got to be around Hug's age.
And he's a West Virginia native, if I'm not mistaken.
His brother is he too?
Yes, they
Okay.
both are.
Yeah, you're right.
John, that's a good one, man. I applaud you for that, brother. That's a great. That's one name that would have never came to my mind. Big Aaron says, my fave WVU channel, how soon do they hire a coach? It's got to be soon, Aaron, because they got this trip to Italy coming. What happens with that trip to Italy? I mean, think about that.
I think it depends on the mindset Rim Baker is going to take. If he's going to build it for the future, and he's pretty much saying whoever stays, I'm going to take my time. Maybe that's the way he goes with it, and I can't say that that's the wrong way to do it. Rim Baker's a very thoughtful guy. He does have a list. He just said it last week on Three Guys for the Game. He openly said he had a list. He said, if you're not doing it right as an AD these days, if you don't have one. So he's got a list. Hopefully he's checked it twice and it's short. But we'll see. You know, I'm sure, like you said, Couz, earlier, you texted me and said, I bet them phones are ringing. I bet they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Aaron, for the compliment, too, and your support of the channel.
Yeah, we appreciate that, man. Wherever you're at. Love the White Pony album. I think we've had this discussion before.
Yeah, I think so. I saw somebody said the preliminary hearing was set already. Man, where'd I see that? These chapter comments are coming in so fast I can't keep up, man.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, somebody said his hearing was set for August 3rd. So
that would be Archie Miller. No, that's Xavier's coach. I'm sorry. Dayton's coach. Do you know who Dayton's coach is, Couz?
No, I do not. I should, but I don't.
Trying to remember.
Krista read today that they have a plan in place, I'm sure, Krista. And I want to address this comment. We got a guy in here being a troll, I think.
Anthony Grant is the coach at Dayton.
Okay. I'm gonna address this guy. Joey Foster's in here. He says it's a sad day to be a Mountaineer, best basketball recruiting class in a long time. Preseason #1 in some polls, and now Huggins is out as head coach. Joey, you dead on it, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna address this cat in the chat room. I'm gonna say cat because I'm trying to be nice. Yeah, here's this is a bunch of BS right here. Anton Jagur, whatever if I pronounced the name right, says, why would Brad Underwood leave Illinois in the Big Ten to come to WVU? First off, we said he wouldn't, so scratch that. Then it says WVU is not Illinois level in basketball in any way, shape, or form.
Bro, you don't know what you're talking about, man.
Illinois
you really don't.
Brand new facilities. West Virginia has some of the nicest facilities in the country, man. And people like Jay Billis and others have even said that. And I'm not a fan of Jay Billis right now, by the way. That guy's a clown.
There's a YouTube video with about 30 million views from a Mountaineer facility video from just a few weeks ago. So
on the basketball or football?
Basketball.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
The $55 million facilities.
And maybe
we ain't even got to.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go. But an NIL or NIL. I mean, look at our portal class, and you want to tell me we don't have NIL? Dude. You need to go back to the closet wherever you came from. You don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, I just wanted to address. You're welcome to disagree with us, but I'm going to.
Jordan Cruz is coming with the heat right here.
I'm going to debate you.
Read that one, Couz.
Jeff Goodman reporting now that most of the assistants' current contracts end in about 2 weeks, so they may clean house entirely. Oh, my Lord. Man alive.
This couldn't have been worse timing, could it?
Nope. Silas says, Billis said it wasn't fair. We had such nice NBA-like facilities. See there? Billis doesn't even like West Virginia, and he's saying that. Huffer Billy Paul says, Illinois with laugh emojis. Thank you, Huffer Billy. By the way, man, I don't know if maybe I've just been missing your comments, but I hadn't seen you on here in a while. It's good to have you, man. And good job on Outlaw of College Football show the other day, too, by the way. I enjoyed that conversation.
Is he a Clemson fan?
He is, yeah.
Does he know a guy named – oh, sorry, buddy.
That's okay. Eugene Barnes threw out the name Rick Pitino.
Yeah, that's not going to happen either.
Yeah, he's at St. John's now. Just got hired at St. John's. What were you going to say about Clemson?
Oh, there was a guy that I used to really watch that was really big in the Clemson community. His name is Clemson Tom, and that's actually where I got the idea for my name, Mountaineer Paul. There's a guy named Clemson Tom. Just curious if you've ever heard of him. He used to have 100,000, 200,000 subscribers, something like that.
Which we'll do a video on candidates, but this guy right here is probably at the top of Renbaker's list. He has Grant McCaslin because he's coached for Renbaker before.
Yeah.
He's won a lot. I don't have his numbers in front of me as far as his record, but I have looked at it before, and his record is remarkable. So, and Ren hired him at one of his previous stops, so it wouldn't surprise. Maybe it was North Texas, maybe been North Texas. I think it is actually. Paul, if you want to look that up, but
I can.
He's a good coach from what I understand. So I'm sure, all these ADs have people that they're connected to in the industry. Grant McCaslin is one of those guys for Renbaker. Yeah, Golden Blue Dude would definitely be upset about this, Jay Glizzy, for sure. Idiot has posted nothing but BS. I'm assuming you're talking. I don't know who you're talking about, Steve, but you talking about the dude in the chat, or you talking about Jay Billis? Yeah, Zach, it has been a rough day, man. Appreciate you hopping in the chat, Zach. John Kelly says, if I was up and coming young coach, I would jump to go to West Virginia. That was Jess. I'm sorry. John says, yes, hope Huggins gets things sorted out personally, and they can't take his legacy. Yeah, that's one thing we need to stress here. There's a lot bigger things, even though we're massive fans and we're disappointed at the impact this is going to have on the team. We're talking about Bob Huggins' life here, man, and his family. There's a lot of people right now that are hurt, upset, disappointed. And we all got to hope that Huggins, if assuming he needs, let's just assume, this is a total assumption. We don't know for sure. Let's assume he needs help, that he has a problem with alcohol. If he does, he needs to go get that help. That's first and foremost. We hope he does that, and hope he's able to, like Paul mentioned earlier, conquer his demons and, live the rest of his life healthy. That's the main thing. And then his family, I'm sure they're going through a tough time right now as well. So we, our thoughts and prayers are with them too through this difficult time. Arizona fan here in Screw, Illinois. Thank you, Sal. I appreciate it.
All right. Looking at Grant McCaslin, he is 46 years old. So he's young. He's got a Baylor education. I just don't see him leaving Texas Tech is the problem. You think he's going to leave Texas Tech?
Oh, is that where he's at?
Yeah.
He's the head coach at Texas Tech?
Yeah, he just got hired in 23.
That's right. He's replacing Adams. That's right. You're right.
That's one of the best jobs in college basketball.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
I will say he's off the list then.
I wouldn't say off the list, but at this point, he's pretty set with his class and the team.
Yeah.
It's too late to get a sitting head coach, in my opinion.
Unless he just wants to come and work for Renbaker for some reason. I don't, or his first few weeks on the job or first few months on the job at Texas Tech hasn't gone well. But I'm sure if he left right now, he'd have a massive buyout to pay. Lord Raiden says, why would assistant contracts be up in 2 weeks? Do they seriously run July 1 to June 30th? West Virginia has been known, Lord Raiden, to have 1-year contracts for their assistant coaches. It's pretty common, actually, even in football. Now, they have started bumping a lot of the football assistants up to 2-year contracts and even 3 in a few rare cases. But typically, West Virginia's MO has been 1-year contracts for assistant coaches. So that's probably the case here. I haven't looked into it, so I can't answer that for certain. But it's probably it wouldn't surprise me. Paul, have you heard the same thing?
That's pretty much what I've heard. It's very similar.
He says he has not heard of Clemson Tom.
Okay.
No, Brennan, we have been on for 35 minutes, brother. But look, whether you hop in at the beginning, the end, or the middle, we appreciate you. And keep in mind, guys, if you miss part of the show, once we're finished recording, you can go back and watch the replay. So it'll still be up for you to watch. Second recommendation for Mike D'Antoni. Here's the only thing that concerns me, and I haven't studied. Paul would be able to answer this better than I have because he studied film on all these guys a lot more than me. But Mike D'Antoni runs that fast-paced, up and down offense. Or do we have the roster for that?
About half. I mean, not really, because we don't have to run the offense that he runs. You have to have. He usually likes to have an elite point guard. The point guard's usually the best player on Mike D'Antoni-led teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it was Steve Nash or whoever in the past. He's got to have a scoring point guard that can distribute, which is usually a title that is withheld for, usually the two guard. But he plays that at his point. So, I'm sure that he could make it work. He's a good coach, But we don't have elite shooters on this team. We have good shooters, 33, 35%. We don't have any John Shires or any, really good shooter, Jimmer Fredette, somebody that can just.
I think Seth Wilson has the potential to be that.
Maybe, but
didn't he shoot?
But I mean, you couldn't. But it's on limited attempts. You got to get up into the.
I get that.
Had he shot the same number as Steph Curry did when he was at Davidson, he wouldn't have shot 40. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, he's certainly good enough to play in that kind of offense. Definitely.
Yeah, I saw somebody say
it would be interesting.
I saw somebody say it's a shame Ole Miss or that Chris Beard wasn't still available.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike D'Antoni's 72, guys. I just
is he? I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah,
he's out then probably. But there again,
I mean,
so is we've been talking about John Beilein. He's around that same age, maybe even older.
He's just around the same age. If you were going to ask me, a guy who has been retired, that would be the perfect person to come in. Would be Jay Wright. He could give you 9 more years. He's 61 years old. He's got national championships to his credit. You could justify paying him $5 million a year easy. You could make him the highest paid coach in basketball, and nobody would blink an eye at it. And in West Virginia could probably offer that to him or get close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they paid Bob Huggins 4.6. It easily transfer that salary to a Jay Wright. That would be my number one pick, Jay Wright. The teams he had at Villanova were, you saw.
Yeah. I have a theory. This is a complete theory. It's very unlikely to happen. This is me kind of getting out there a little bit with some ideas. Bob Huggins has a lot of friends in the industry, in the coaching world, right? He's very well respected, very well liked by a lot of people. Jay Wright being one of those guys, okay? And when you said it made me think of this. A lot of his old buddies are retired. Jay Wright, Jim Boeheim, Roy Williams. Now, most of them are older. I get it. Jay Wright's not that old, but the other two guys are, they're even older than Huggs, I think. Krzyzewski, another one.
Coach Cal.
Yeah, but my point to that is this, where I'm going. Huggs wants so bad for this team to win a national title, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got this great roster he's been able to get in from the portal. What if he calls up one of his old buddies and says, look, man, I screwed up. I made a terrible mistake. I'm heartbroken about this, what I did to this team, this university. Would you be willing to come in and take this roster I've built or we've built and coach them for at least 1 year and do it for me? And I would almost guarantee you there is somebody out there that would do that. I think he's that respected. Now, whether that's, he may not want to make that call or whatever, but just think, but it wouldn't that be something if he called up somebody like Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim, Jim Calhoun, Jay Wright, whoever, and said, hey, will you come and coach this team for me? That'd be something.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to dream about that kind of stuff and play the hypothetical game with it. I do think in your scenario that there would be a good chance for that to happen. But I don't know that he's in the headspace to. He's making some pretty tough, bad decisions here lately,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, Zach Valoric, man, my good buddy. Beer cans everywhere. Zach called me today. He woke up to this news and he was distraught. He was in bad shape, as a lot of us were. I went through my emotions all night last night when I called Couz. I called who did I call, man? I called Amanda Maisie. I mean, I called everybody last night trying to figure this what the heck was going on.
I hope you didn't call Amanda Maisie at 2 a.m.
I sure did. She responded.
She did.
Yeah, I was
Saul,
upset.
I know. Remember that only grad transfers can leave without a waiver, and the NCAA is not issuing waivers when the request is due to a coaching change. That rule could be challenged, but hasn't to this point. And we do have a few grad transfers on the roster. I know Trey Mitchell's a grad transfer,
Yeah,
or would be. I'm sorry, he's a grad. He would be a grad. He would be a grad transfer if he left. So
right.
Trey Mitchell could leave. Who else? Who else was graduated? Paul, from this deal.
That would be
Edwards,
Jesse Edwards,
Kerr. Has Kerr
Jose
graduated?
Jose Perez.
Kerr Creasa. But Jose's already transferred once as a grad
He
transfer.
has, he has already
But
transferred
could he do it
once.
again? I wonder. And the
Um,
other the
he,
other would the other two guys be able to do it again? It would be a risk for those guys to challenge it because they could get denied.
right.
So that's something they're going to have to weigh. You know,
Does anybody know Evan the reporter? Evan, where would you happen to know any information like
I,
this? Or are you
I
just
I
throwing
reached
something out
out.
there?
I reached out to a source of mine and Paul's and asked that question, and so far it hasn't been confirmed. It's just a rumor. We're kind of in wait and see mode at this point. So that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, Shaka Smart's not leaving Marquette. Jared Calhoun from Youngstown State, not a bad name. But guys, I know Hugs has got this long list from a coaching tree, but let's keep in mind, Ren Baker's the AD going to be making this decision. And even what I said earlier about Huggins making these calls, Ren Baker would have to agree to it. And I don't think he's going to agree to something like that, just to be honest. We can dream big, but and keep in mind, Ren Baker has coached basketball before. He worked on Eddie Sutton's staff, and that's another thing I want to touch on. Ren Baker has what did Eddie Sutton get fired at Oklahoma State for? A DUI, was it not?
Yeah.
And Ren Baker and Eddie Sutton were like this. So Ren Baker will probably sympathize a little bit with Hugs, or you know what I'm saying, and what he's going through. Doesn't mean he can't, doesn't mean he can keep him as a coach. I'm not saying that, but he might be willing to sit down and have a conversation with him about the future of the program. At least I think he has enough respect for him to do that. If that makes sense. So maybe some of Hugs guys might get a call, but Ren's also going to have his own guys he's going to want to talk to as well. Is where I'm going with that comment.
There's no doubt. And remember, Ren Baker's got a lot of connections to the Baylor, athletic department.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got Mac Rhodes on his team to help him, and who better in the country? Name a better athletic director in the country than Mac Rhodes, and I'll kiss your butt. I mean, what he's done, coaching hires, everything has been really good here lately. His football coach took a small step back last year, but outside of that, man, Scott Drew hire, everything he's done after the scandal has been amazing. I mean, they've been, so Ren Baker's got him to lean on.
Yeah. 276 people in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Everybody, if you haven't yet, please hit that thumbs up button. That it really helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps get the video pumped out to more people. Even if you're watching it on the replay, please hit the like button. It helps big time. Obviously, with 279 people, there's a lot of comments. It's absolutely impossible for us to read them all. So if you want to make sure it gets seen, you can leave us a super chat. If you're on Mountaineer Paul Talks Football or Couz's Corner, you can drop a super chat. If you're on Hoops from the Hills, we don't have that option yet because the channel has yet to be monetized, but we're getting close. But if you're on one of the other two channels and you want to make sure your comment gets read, you can drop us a super chat, and it'll also help support what we do here. But
we
thank you,
can,
Russell, for
Couz
the nice
can,
words, man.
you can drop your Cash App and Venmo in the this chat, if in case somebody wants to help us that way on the Hoops from the Hills.
Who's this corner? Cash App and also on PayPal, basically the same.
Yeah.
Roy Williams to WVU, man, that would be awesome. But
Yeah,
he's
that'd be
up there.
great.
He's up there in age. But if you wanted somebody to come in and make a 1 or 2 year splash, like Paul mentioned earlier, it's going to depend on whether Ren Baker wants to do something. If he wants to make a long term hire, or if he wants to try to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak, and take advantage of this recruiting class.
Right.
My guess is, total guess here, it's going to be a long term decision.
Yeah, he's going to know the temperature right now. He knows right now the temperature of that locker room, who is wavering, who is said they're going to stay. Rimbecker knows. That was probably top 2, 3 thing he did whenever, after he dressed Huggins, right? So I'm sure if those kids were all going to stay, a more seasoned coach would be probably the play. But or somebody that's had a lot of success that's young, but a Patrick Beeline, I've seen that thrown out there, or even a Calhoun. I just don't think are ready to step into this type of situation yet. So it's a really intricate kind of thing. It just depends on what's going to happen, like I said, with the players. I really do think that is. I mean, if you were an AD, would you not consider that team that's been assembled when hiring this next coach?
I will definitely think of it. I think
You can hire somebody a 1 year stopgap, 2 years at the most.
Yeah. Man, I'm seeing some interesting names. Bruce Weber's one I hadn't thought of. Here's one I really like, and I'll get to it in a minute after the super chat. We've got James Cook. Thanks for the $5 super chat, man. He says, "How about Mike Carey or Mike Gansey?" Mike Carey, interesting idea, but I just think his times. I think he's peaked. He was for those of you who don't know, Mike Carey was the women's basketball coach at West Virginia for many years. Did lead them to at least one, maybe if not two Big 12 titles. Or I'm sorry, he won a Big 12 title and I think maybe a Big East title or something like that. But anyway, he had some successful seasons. My understanding is I don't think he and Shane Lyons saw eye to eye, so he got let go.
Did not.
And I think he's pretty much been open about that actually, because he actually lobbied to get the job back when Don White left. But I just don't. I'd like to bring in somebody different and new. You know what I mean? Personally. And in Mike Gansey, I don't know that Mike Gansey's ever been a coach. He spent his entire career as a scout,
as a GM,
and in the administrative roles. Now he's the GM of the Cleveland Cavs, and let's face it, that's probably a much better job than coaching college.
Well, he'd be much more suited for Ren Baker's role than Bob Huggins' role.
Right. But James, thank you, man, for the super chat. We appreciate it. Appreciate the support.
Not trying to shoot you down, James, but I don't think either of those are very likely at this point. I think Ren Baker will probably get crucified. Well, I hate that term. He would be hung out to dry if he hired a Mike Carey to run this team. Although he's a good coach, it's just not going to move the needle enough, in my opinion. There's a lot. You got to think. There's a lot of money. There's probably, if I had to guess, $2.5, $3 million, if not a little more, invested in this transfer class.
Yeah.
I hate to keep going back to that, but that's a huge factor in all this.
Yeah. But Bruce Weber's the name. Deshaun Butler's. And I heard when you were doing the live earlier today, I heard you somebody mentioned Darius Nichols, I think.
Yeah.
Guys, Darius Nichols just got fired at Radford for having a DUI.
He did.
You can't. I mean, you can't bring him in. I mean, you just can't. Not after this.
Well, he didn't win anyway.
Right. That's what I was getting at. He hadn't had that much success yet as a head coach. He had been good as an assistant so far, but his head coaching resume wasn't very good. Andy Kennedy's the name I wanted to touch on. I like that.
Ooh, yeah.
Andy Kennedy's a Huggins guy. He's from the Huggins coaching tree, which I know a lot of fans. I saw Jeff Ruff on Twitter say absolutely no one from the Huggins tree, but guys, there's a lot of great coaches. There's a lot of Final Fours in that Bob Huggins coaching tree. Mick Cronin from UCLA is a Bob Huggins guy. the guy who's at UMass now that used to be at South Carolina, Frank Martin. He's a Bob Huggins guy. Andy Kennedy's a Bob Huggins guy. So I like that Andy Kennedy name. That might be the best name I've seen so far, from my personal opinion. I think I like that name more than any, with the exception of Jay Wright. But I don't think Jay Wright doesn't want to coach anymore. I don't think. I think if he did, he'd be in the NBA, because I think he's had the
Austin,
opportunity to go to the NBA.
yeah. Oh, Bob Huggins just released a statement, Couz. Can you find that?
I will do my best, man. While you're talking, I'll be searching for it.
All right. Somebody mentioned Austin Claunch, assistant coach at Alabama. Certainly, he would be a pretty good hire. Andy Kennedy, though, man, that's a great name, and I think that's the kind of player, the kind of coach that I could get behind for the future, for sure. You look at that team he put together at UAB this past year. They were a really good basketball team, explosive athletes all over the court. I love the way he coaches basketball. They had more athletes. We won the game, but they had more athletes than we did when we played them.
Jeez, he's trending on Twitter, dude. It's not good.
Who is?
Bob Huggins.
Well, it's the biggest news in sports today, man. It's going to trend.
But it ain't good. That's what I'm saying. That's not what we want.
I mean, it is what it is.
That's not what we want to be trending. But let me do a screen share here real quick. And I found Ethan Bach tweeted, our good buddy Ethan. And thanks to Brad Smith, another good buddy who told us about the announcement. And guys, I do have to give Brad some props. He was the first guy out with the Hugs is resigning thing. It wasn't official yet, but he claimed it's what he was hearing out of Morgantown. So shout out to Brad for that at Voice of Morgantown. But here's the screen share for yeah, I think it's right here. Yep. Nope, that ain't it. Sorry. That was the wrong one. I got like 15 things up here. Beauty of live TV, baby. No editing. All right, here we go.
What happened to Thad Matta?
I don't know. All right, here's a statement from Bob Huggins on Ethan Bach's Twitter account. Mountaineer Nation, today I have submitted a letter to President Gordon Gee and Vice President and Director of Athletics Ren Baker, informing them of my resignation and intention to retire as head men's basketball coach at West Virginia, effective immediately. My recent actions do not represent the values of the university or the leadership expected in this role. While I have always tried to represent our university with honor, I have let all of you and myself down. I am solely responsible for my conduct and sincerely apologize to the university community, particularly to the student athletes, coaches, and staff in our program. I must do better, and I plan to spend the next few months focused on my health and my family so that I can be the person they deserve. It has been the honor of my professional career. This is hard to read, dude.
Yeah.
It has been the honor of my professional career to lead the men's basketball program at my alma mater, and I take great pride in our accomplishments. But I am most proud of the tremendous young men who chose to spend their formative years with us and who have gone on to do great things with their lives. I was born in Morgantown, graduated from West Virginia University, and had the pleasure of coaching here for 17 seasons as an assistant or head coach. It will always be my home, and I will always be a Mountaineer. Thank you to everyone who has supported our program over the years. It has meant more to me and my family than you could ever know. Sincerely, Bob Huggins. I didn't expect that to be that hard, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's tough, man.
I don't know if people, West Virginia fans, get it, but I don't know if people outside of this fan base understand the importance that guy has in this state. He's like
two grown men crying.
Yeah, he's a freaking hero here, dude. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. He might be the most beloved figure. He probably is today. I was going to say all time, but that might be a stretch. But
Jerry
man,
West.
He's up. I'm talking about outside of sports. I'm talking about everybody in the history of West Virginia, the state of West Virginia. He's got to be up there, man. I mean, he's that special to this state.
Yeah, maybe not today, but everybody's mad at him right now.
Right? But you get it though. I mean,
I'm just making a joke.
His career, I know you are, but yeah, it's. I don't think people get it. I really don't.
That's fine. They don't have to get it. It's just we just don't ever get opportunities like what it was looking like we were going to have this year. So it's tough.
Joey, I agree with the John Beeline one. Paul and I both talked about that earlier. The Joe Mazzulla has, according to Huggins himself, Joe Mazzulla has no interest in coaching in college basketball. So I don't think that's an option.
Yeah.
His dream all along has been to be an NBA coach, and he's there now. So I don't see him coming. It would be a step back for him. Billy
Billy
Donovan's name.
Donovan there, Jerry Stackhouse.
Where's Billy Donovan at right now? I can't remember.
He was coaching in the league at Oklahoma City last I remember. Honestly, I haven't kept up with him as much since he went to the NBA. Let me check.
Randy Bennett's another. Who's Randy Bennett? Who is Randy Bennett? I know that name, but the team he coached is not coming to mind.
Billy Donovan. Let's see.
Krista says there's a rumor that John Beeline actually moved back to Morgantown a few days ago. That's interesting.
Really? Wow.
She said they said they saw it on Twitter. Take her for what it's worth. Mike Bray's a name. Mike just retired though, right? I don't know that he's interested in coaching again. And no offense, but I don't want that style of play. That is a boring style of play to watch. I don't really want that here, in my opinion. Yeah. Look on the bright side, y'all will reinforce the legend to retire. Now we don't have to worry him firing Neil.
Yeah, he's with the Bulls. Billy Donovan's with the Bulls.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
So, I mean, that's one of the best jobs in sports. Yeah. Who did you say, Randy Bennett?
Yeah.
St. Mary's.
He coached
St. Mary's.
You should be writing these names down. And, of course, the Brad Smith comments are already rolling in.
Hey, yeah, he's 61 years old, man. Randy Bennett is.
Is he?
St. Mary's College of California. But he's had a lot of success there. Who's the other name?
Ben McCollum. McCollum.
Ben?
Yes. Brad Smith is a freelancer. I don't know if he's a freelance journalist, which means he's not tied to any specific organization, I guess. Is that a way to put it, Paul?
What's that? Yeah, he's independent. He's independent.
Yeah.
No
different than myself.
He's just like me and Couz, really. But he's been doing it so long that he's built up a large number of what you're going to call members or whatever. Yeah. He has a lot of hot takes. He's like a lot of. I've seen people call him like a Skip Bayless, West Virginia media. Stuff like that. But I know Brad on a pretty personal level, and he's a good dude. He really is. He does have hot takes about West Virginia sports that a lot of people hate. But honestly, man, I mean, I think people dislike because he's not afraid to go there or be negative.
Yeah, he's not.
And people want to wear blinders to some things. And he doesn't allow it. Now he has a couple crusades I wish he would give up, against the local media and stuff. But
yeah,
I mean, that's, outside of that, man, for me, he's tolerable. He's a buddy of mine.
And these are not things. And by the way, these are not these are conversations that Brad knows how we feel about these things personally. So we're not saying anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I mean, hopefully he also hears that I'm saying he's my buddy. Because I consider him that. I can separate what he does for a living and who he is to me. They're just two different things. Billy Donovan would be a great hire if he wasn't. Sean Miller.
Sean Miller's at Xavier, and I think that's his alma mater, isn't it? So he's not. I don't see him leaving.
Yeah, no, we're not getting him.
Darius Nichols, we just mentioned earlier. He actually 2 reasons he would not get the job. Number one, he's not done well as a head coach. He has a bad record at Radford. Number 2, he just got a DUI recently as well. Matter of fact, I thought I read he had 2 already, but I could be wrong. But I know he's got at least 1. And you can't you can't replace a guy that loses his job over a DUI with another guy that had a DUI. That just wouldn't make
That
sense.
would be wild.
But a lot of people probably don't realize that that happened because it's at Radford it's not going to get a lot of headlines, right? I saw it in a local paper because I don't live far from. I'm only about an hour from Radford, so I saw it in a local paper actually.
I really appreciate that, Ty Cooper. That means a lot to hear, man. We know that you guys understand. You do. Of course, you did get that or Mick Cronin right after Hugs. Hopefully, we land somebody somewhere like that, like a Mick Cronin after Hugs. And then on that same note, K State landed in pretty good, good waters with who they hired after Hugs as well. So maybe we can keep that trend going.
I shouldn't chuckle at this, but I can't help it. This comment. Fired with call, 0 buyout. Somebody buy Neil Brown a drink.
Yeah, that's one thing that somebody was saying earlier. If you could give Neil Brown Bob Huggins' acumen, be a great combination for a coach.
Yeah.
The character of Neil Brown with the acumen of Bob Huggins.
Yeah. That model's at Butler. So that would be a step up for him. A step back.
Butler's to anymore, man. They're almost Power 5. But yeah, it would be a step up in pay and stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm. John Kelly says he hopes he can turn his life around and get away from his troubles. Agreed. Jay Wright or Andy Kennedy, or go the interim route. Seen a lot of Andy Kennedy and Jay Wright love.
Well, those would be two huge names to grab.
Crib Keeper says, is he bigger than Don Nealon? I think so. He's up there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Don Nealon's a good one. If Rich Rod would have stayed, there'd have been no contest, right?
I think. I don't know if he's bigger than
Pat White. Pat White's right there too.
Don Nealon's just not. Bob Huggins was just such a unique character.
Yeah.
As well, his personality. I mean, he was such a fun-loving guy. Trying to think. He's just a larger than life. Larger than life is a word, the term I was looking for. He was a larger than life character. You know what I'm saying? As well
and his mission statement.
Yeah, as well as a great coach, and just the love he had for West Virginia was just unbelievable. I mean, it was unmatched by anybody I've ever seen. Now, Don Nealon may have that too. It may be because Don Nealon was kind of coaching when I was younger, and I wasn't as passionate about West Virginia sports as I am now. So I guess I'm not as tied to Don Nealon, maybe, or something. There might be some recency bias in there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But Don Nealon is he's definitely up there too.
Makes sense.
John Beeline again. Keep hearing the John Beeline pop up. Us West Virginia fans, you know what? We always want the old coaches back, don't we? We like reliving the glory days, man.
Well, I've been saying it all day. We have to get out of this hiring a former Mountaineer this whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a former Mountaineer or anybody associated with the university. Yeah, it helps, but I want somebody who was good. Give me somebody that's good. I don't care if he's from Timbuktu, if he's a good coach. Coaches in college especially can grow with whatever state they're usually in most of the time. Mm-hmm. Every now and again, you get a Dana Holgerson that just was never going to fit in Morgantown or West Virginia. But for the most part, like Neil Brown, although he's from this sort of neck of the woods, he's not from West Virginia, but you could never tell,
Speaking of Don Nealon, somebody mentioned Don Nealon. He was not a West Virginia guy either.
Yeah, right.
But he got here and fell in love with the place, and he still is here today. So there's an example of you don't have to be a West Virginia born and bred person or have ties to the state to come here and be a good coach and a successful coach. It can be done. John Beeline was not a West Virginia guy.
Right.
He didn't stay as long as Nealon did, but still he had success when he was here. So we just need a good coach. A good coach.
We just need a good coach
with a clean with no baggage. That's not going to have issues like this pop up. Hopefully.
Couz's Corner on Cash App, guys. Super chats
Scott,
are open.
Scott, I'm going to challenge you on something. I'm not going to debate you. I mean, I'm not going to, I don't hate you for your comment. How do you know Brad Smith personally? You say he's not a good guy. Have you met him in person or even had a conversation with him ever? Because to me, you can't judge somebody's character if all you go by is what you see on social media. That's my opinion. But I don't want to get on that soapbox. You can disagree with what he does. That's fine, because even I do that. But what bothers me is he can even put out a good article, and people trash it before they even read it. Right. But anyway, and who's not a West? Brad is a West. Brad went to West Virginia. He just doesn't live here now. But anyway, I don't want to.
I talk to Brad on the phone probably 4 or 5 times a week, and we have conversations about different intel that we gather.
Yeah, and I don't.
I can tell you that he very much cares about what's happening. He just wants people to recognize him for his contribution. Whether you agree with it or not. I think he's mad that other people like credentialed media members, whether it be with 247 or Metro News, wherever, they have access and he doesn't, because he's not afraid to ask hard questions. And what it's caused is he's gone overboard a little bit in these crusades, and he's alienated a lot of people. And so, that's kind of been the deal. That and his really hot takes. He does have really hot takes that are sometimes hard to get behind. But he is as a person, completely separate from all that. I'm just letting you know.
Carl Adams says West Virginia is expected to conduct a national search for the school's next coach. Internal candidates will all be considered. One of the job's attractions is the NIL opportunities via Pete Thamel.
Thanks, Carl Adams.
Somebody
said
coach.
Dusty May. That's a heck of a. Dusty May just had a team in the Final Four.
Yeah, somebody mentioned Dan Hurley. Yeah, he's not leaving UConn.
Right.
Shaq. Somebody said Shaq. Hey, bring the diesel to Morgantown, baby.
That would be like a Deion Sanders kind of hire. Like just somebody based on their name. If you hired Shaq, you probably win a national championship with him for real.
Now Bobby Hurley. Bobby Hurley's an interesting one. Said he might want to move back
State.
East. Yeah, if he's not happy.
Yeah.
Sean Miller at Xavier, but he's a Xavier alum, so I doubt he's going to want to leave Xavier. He is a great coach, no doubt about it.
He also went to Pitt.
Oh yeah, true. Where's Steve Alford?
Yeah, I'm good on him.
Silas says
Porter Moser. Porter Moser's a good one.
Oh yeah, Porter Moser from Oklahoma. Yeah, but would he leave Oklahoma though?
Maybe, maybe not.
Chris Murphy, 3-time. It says Ben McCollum is a 3-time Division II national champion head coach. I like that pedigree. Somebody with a winning pedigree. Bobby Hurley, Sean Miller. We got all kinds of names popping up. Do not use says night, y'all. I guess it is getting late here on the East Coast. Should go after Scott Cross. I don't know who that is either. Whoopi Goldberg. She did okay with the Knicks once. What that was in a movie. What movie was that? That was a long time ago.
All right, buddy. Yeah,
I was a kid when that came out.
Honestly, can't remember.
What must Ren Baker be thinking right now? Boy, I bet he's probably thinking, what have I got myself into?
Would he have come to West Virginia?
Oh, I don't know. Call Jerry West and work his NBA connections. Not a bad idea. And look, hey, and let's not forget, guys, we have some connections. Johnny West, his son, works for an NBA franchise. Mike Gansey works for an NBA franchise. West Virginia has plenty of connections, even outside of Huggins. Look at the Beeline connections, all that.
That's very true.
Pitt Snoggle. Hey, he's coaching the high school level. Could he go from Martinsburg High School to West Virginia?
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, he wouldn't. I was kind of being facetious, but
I was too.
Hey, it's worked for what's his name? At Texas Tech, old Joey McGuire. He went,
Hey,
which he did have a couple assistant coaching stops first, but Eric Martin's a name. Eric's only been a head coach one season so far, and it was at a small school. My personal preference would be somebody that's proven themselves at the
right.
Division One level. Just my opinion. Doesn't necessarily have to be Power Five, but at least has a winning pedigree.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, I think we'll land somebody good. Jared Calhoun from Youngstown State come up again. I know. See Grant McCaslin. I think McCaslin got hired at Texas Tech. We talked about him earlier. Drew
Hmm.
Valentine's a name I'm seeing come up some. Who's he? Where does he coach at, Paul?
Drew Valentine.
Yeah,
Um,
or somebody in the chat let me know.
I just looked.
The FAU coach. That's a good one. Yeah, Sean Miller is a Pitt grad. I forgot about that. For some reason, I thought he was a Xavier grad, but he coached at Xavier twice, didn't he? He's coached there 2 times, hadn't he?
He has.
Okay, that's where the Xavier connection comes in. I've seen some people bring up DeMar Johnson, our assistant coach. There again, not enough experience, in my opinion.
Right.
But there again, though, I don't know though. I do like the idea of hiring one of the assistants if it'll help keep this class together.
That's where I'm at with it too, man.
Yeah, West Virginia guy 56. We actually read Hugs' statement a few minutes ago. Matter of fact, Paul and I both teared up reading it. Man, it was
Yeah,
it
it's
kind of made
powerful.
it kind of made it official, didn't it? You know, it kind of
It did.
put the nail in the coffin. Scotty B says maybe the Charleston men's basketball coach. A lot of good ideas here, guys. We should have been writing these down for a video, man.
Well, we can always come back to it, can't we? And
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of comments.
Shanine Holloway, Andy Toole, Chris Beard. Beard's at Ole Miss now. Dusty May again. Norman Dale,
Dusty May would be a huge hire.
Tom Crean, Steve Alford.
Tom Crean. But
He's at
he's
he's at no, he's retired now, isn't he?
yeah,
He was in
he was in
Indiana most
Indiana.
recently. He
Yeah.
didn't do once he left Marquette, he didn't have that same success again.
Richard Pitino, that's a good one. Although he hasn't had the success of his dad at all.
Bill Self's assistants, Mark Pope. And y'all are coming up with some great names. Chris Mack. Leo says he just found out. Yeah, man. It's a sad day, buddy.
Yeah. It's a sad day to be a Mountaineer.
Somebody said Barkley. There's Jeremy Croy in the house. He's a channel member over at Couz's Corner. He says, so we're going to suck at both major sports this year. Love being a WVU fan.
I won't go that far. Listen, you call me put it on the blinders. You can say what you want, but
Yeah.
uh, I'm gonna feel like we're gonna be and have a chance in every game football season. I've analyzed this team. I feel like there are ways for this team to win. May not be the way we want to see, but there are ways to win. So, and that offensive line and running back room and mobile quarterback room and the defense, I really think is going to be a lot better than people think. You're going to have a lot to say about that. The basketball team is all about retention at this point. Screw getting more transfers. So that just last week, me and Couz were releasing Alexis Jetton and Paul Mulcahy videos. That's out the window. We just want to retain what we got now.
Yeah. And by the way, I apologize for the yawn, guys. That's not very professional, but I'm really tired. I've had a long day. Your AD has only been on the job less than a year. He has hired a women's basketball coach, dealt with the first Huggins firestorm, and now this. Yes, and of course he's got the Neil Brown thing hanging over his head as well. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because that was the first thing he had to do. Literally, his first order of business was to evaluate Neil Brown. Wild, man.
Yep. Eric Martin can recruit the wheels off them cats. He is a great recruiter. So that I'm not saying Eric Martin wouldn't be a good hire. My personal preference would be somebody that has experience, but he does have a lot of experience as an assistant at that level. So, that means something.
Hey guys, no matter whether you're watching this video, if you haven't liked the video yet, would really appreciate if you could do that for us and help us feed us to the algorithm. Just go ahead and throw us in the wood chipper. Hit that like button for us. Drop a comment below, even if it's just a thumbs up. We were all pretty well smaller channels in the grand scheme of YouTube. And this really does feed that algorithm and push us out there to be seen more. Would really appreciate it, guys, if you could do that for us. There's 306 people in chat, like I said. I know we mentioned it several times, but I feel like people are dropping out and coming back. If you want your comment to be seen, because we're going by so many, if it's something you feel like should be seen by everybody, super chat on either Couz's Corner or Mountaineer Paul Talks Football at Couz's Corner on Cash App, if you have any one of those.
Yep. Because like I said, it's impossible to read all these comments, guys. We're just kind of hitting them as we come to them, and any that stick out to us, we're hitting them. But obviously, if you super chat, it highlights it, so we're sure to see it. But Brad Stevens is mentioned again. I wonder what Neil Brown and staff are thinking tonight. Yeah, I'm sure they hate it.
He's probably glad it's not him for once too.
Rick Pitino, been mentioned a couple. Rick Pitino just got hired at St. John's, so he's pretty secure. Steve Nash,
Yeah.
Steve Nash is coaching in the NBA, isn't he? I know he was.
He's not a head coach that I know of.
I was thinking he was for some reason, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I think some of the recruits might be. I don't know if they're stuck here, cliffhanger, but it's going to be. They would have to get a waiver to transfer again, so they might be reluctant to do it. Get Brad Stevens out of the GM job, but he's GM with an NBA team. I don't see him leaving that to coach in college basketball. I really don't.
Yeah.
But you never know. He might, some of these times these guys might get the itch and want to come back. It takes the pressure off Neil Brown. You got that right. Hire anyone but Dan Dockich. You got that right, too. Nash is at the Nets. He's coaching the Nets. I thought he was coaching someone, but
for some reason I thought I thought he was done with that job. I thought that was
Josh Allard. Yeah, Josh Allard is if there's an assistant coach on the staff that probably has the best shot of getting the job, it's probably Josh Allard, just to be honest.
Yeah, no, Nash is gone. He was only at the Nets till 22, so he's apparently done.
But Josh Eilert is the name that keeps popping up, and he is, he's probably he and Ron Everhart are probably the two longest tenured guys on the staff now that Larry Harrison's gone and Eric Martin's gone. I see Buzz Williams' name. He's at Texas A&M, which I think is his alma mater. So again, probably not happening.
I'm not really a huge fan of his. I mean, he's had success, but nothing crazy.
Most of our fans are still mad at him for dancing on our logo. Oh, this is a good one. I got.
He was at Virginia Tech.
Big Jim Justice. He coaches everywhere else. I actually, ironically,
I told this story today. By the way,
I was coaching a team today and yesterday that Greenbrier East High School. He coaches the girls team in West Virginia. We played their JV team in a tournament this weekend and in a summer league thing, and they beat us yesterday. And I was mad. I ended up throwing a hissy fit, yelling at referees and the whole bit, making a fool of myself. Today we played them again and beat them. So we were excited. And in this part of West Virginia, they are like the dynasty of girls basketball in Southern West Virginia. So to beat them was like the biggest. It's honestly, I've won tournaments. That was probably the biggest win I've ever had as a coach. It meant that much for us to beat them.
Wow.
It was really cool. But anyway, there's always one team that's your arch nemesis. That's them. Very few times do they get beat. They don't get beat a lot. So it was pretty cool to beat them. And with a team, I have girls playing, in some cases, 2 grades up a level. So it was pretty special. Baby Dog would make a good assistant. Baby Dog Paul, if you don't know, is his dog that he carries around with him everywhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had no idea.
And her name's actually her name's actually Baby Dog. Literally. Goose, you should apply for the position. Dude, I'm not qualified, trust me. I coach I'm not even qualified to be coaching middle school girls, man.
Assume the position, Couz.
Yeah,
That's what it would be.
I wouldn't want it, man. I'll be honest. AD and the president of university also have released statements, Coos. Okay, I'll try to check those out as we're on here, guys. We're live and we're taking it as they come, man. Let's see if I
Yeah,
can find it.
sure enough are.
Let's see. I'll see if I can go to Twitter here again and find. I just 13.7 thousand tweets on Bob Huggins.
My cats are acting up.
It's all good. All right, here's
No,
President.
it's not all good.
I'm gonna read Gordon Gee's statement. This is President E. Gordon Gee of West Virginia. And A.D. Rimbaker. This is their joint statement.
The bow tie.
You want me to share it on the
Yeah.
screen? All right. Let me do a screen share here and share this with you guys here. Yep, here it is. All right. WVU President Gordon Gee and Director of Athletics Rimbaker on Bob Huggins' resignation. Coach Huggins informed us of his intent to retire and has submitted his letter of resignation, and we have accepted it in light of recent events. We support his decision so that he can focus on his health and family. On behalf of West Virginia University, we share our appreciation for his service to our university, our community, and our state. During his time as a student athlete, assistant coach, and head coach, Coach Huggins devoted himself to his players, to our student body, to our fans and alumni, and to all West Virginians. His contributions will always be a part of our history. In the days ahead, we will focus on supporting the student athletes in our men's basketball program and solidifying leadership for our program. So that's pretty run of the mill statement, I guess. I do appreciate they threw in the things he has achieved and accomplished here. Would have been cool if they'd have went into some detail with that a little bit, maybe. But but other than that, I mean, they had to get something out so fast.
Yeah.
They probably just had to throw it together pretty quickly. So that's about what you would expect.
The fact that they're doing this today, so quick, lets me, they didn't hum around, wait till Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
They said, we're going to get this out of the way because they realize how time is of the essence.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this weekend, would be, maybe they can land somebody over the weekend. I know that'd be extremely quick.
Yeah.
But I think that's what needs to happen. I think 3-4 days tops, or else you risk losing it all.
That it is definitely of the essence for sure. Because like we mentioned earlier, these players on this team, their phones are ringing off the hook right now. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And John Waffle, I said your comment earlier, but I forgot to mention it's a super chat. So thank you for the $1.99 super chat.
I don't think that's cruel, Evan. Nothing cruel about rehab, man. That's self-care. Maybe maybe this is just me speaking from my position who has gone to rehab, but sometimes that's what has to happen. Sometimes what we say in the recovery community is change will only occur when the pain becomes greater than the whatever act it is you're doing, right? If drinking alcohol doesn't outweigh or if it outweighs the consequences, then the consequences haven't become great enough yet. Obviously, what just happened to Hugs yesterday and into today are the greatest consequences he's ever had to experience in his adult life, outside of losing his mom and dad. So change will occur when the consequences become great enough. Consequences dictate a course of action. Rehab sometimes is that option or action. It is what it is. I don't think it's a negative; it's a positive.
Kirk Risa has put out a tweet, and it says, it's on the screen right now. It says, man, I knew the dude 3 months, but felt like forever. So thankful for really believing in me and taking me as part of your family forever. Love you, Coach.
Oh,
Pretty powerful, man.
yeah.
Hire Governor Justice, LOL. That's funny. He's a Marshall alum, though. His Marshall people may have a tough time with
Yeah.
that.
Well, we would sure take his wallet though.
Yeah. Thomas, I don't know if his wallet's very big or he just has a lot of assets. I haven't figured that out yet. Thomas Jones says, "Take care, Coach. Get well. Thanks for the memories." Uh, Coach Johnson and bring in an older coach to be his assistant. Somebody says, screw
37 beers.
Somebody says, "Screw it. We need Donald Trump to be head coach." Uh, Beer Bong 37 on the way. I don't. Oh, here now I know what. Bob's a real West Virginia 37 beers at his age. That's impressive. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out myself.
Something is going. This is what I think too, Curtis. There's got to be a reason for this. Now, Bob Huggins is. Everybody in West Virginia knows Bob Huggins is a drinker. He always has been. Didn't know how bad it was. I think people close to him did maybe, but others didn't. Um, we still don't know how bad it is. I mean, for him to blow a .210 is a problem. I mean, most people don't drink, and from what I've heard about Huggins, I read something today, and I don't want to be negative, too much negative, but bottom line is he can drink a lot of alcohol, and for him to blow a .210, that's a crap load of alcohol. Is my point. But I don't know where the 37 beers thing came from. But Curtis, back to your point, is there what has caused him to go into this downward spiral? And that's kind of what I was thinking about today while I was in the car driving. Has something happened in his personal life, maybe, or even coaching? Maybe the whole thing. I can't help but think about the thing with Larry Harrison. Did that depress him to the point that it caused him to drink more? I don't know. It could be anything. Could the pressure of the job
Right.
finally got to him? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's a word term for it. Some people call it self sabotage. Uh, it's unfortunate. I'm not saying that's what he was doing, but here's what I know, man. If just speculating, this is not. I have no knowledge of this. If he was waking up every day needing to drink not to feel sick from alcohol, then I'm surprised he held out this long, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that have been happening to him over the last few months usually happen to alcoholics, or somebody with an addiction problem. These are the kinds of signs you see.
Mm-hmm.
And the term functional alcoholic or addict is used to describe people like Coach Huggins who can drink and still function in society and still go to work and do that kind of thing. Um, that's all speculation, but that's what it looks like from the outside looking
Mm-hmm.
in.
Mm-hmm. Carl, I actually read the statement, but I do want to acknowledge you for bringing that to my attention that he did release that Kerr put that tweet out. So I appreciate you doing that, man. It's stuff like that makes these live streams entertaining and keeps the content flowing, man. We've been on here for an hour and a half, and because of you guys in the audience, we've had a lot of content to talk about. So
Yep.
uh, it hasn't been it hasn't gotten dry, I guess would be the right way to put it.
Yep.
Because you guys keep us updated. Because obviously we're on here talking, so we can't keep up with the news.
Yep.
Oh Lord, Joey, that's funny. But yeah,
That?
anyway, uh, it said we could hire Joe Biden and put a set of stairs up into the weight room with a 24-hour live feed.
Oh God.
All right, well, guys, look, Chris and Mike's podcast shed some light on this. Long story short, the NCAA is cracking down on transfers who leave due to coaching changes. They may be stuck here. Interesting. Here, let me ask you this, Paul. That I was going to end the show, but that brings me to something I want to talk about. Do you think Ren Baker, do you think the players should be included in the decision of who they hire?
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
this is not. This is not the NBA. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously they're getting paid similar, but these are 18 to 22-year-old kids that are. I mean, I don't know. You know, if they were to say, "Hey, Ren, we'd really love to have a person of color," or something along those lines, maybe he takes that into account. I don't know. Uh, but as far as a specific name, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I
The
don't. I agree.
minority conversation, I do think, is a conversation that needs to be had at some point. Hopefully they interview some. There's some really good candidates out there. Best coach is all we all want.
Right. Right.
Just saying, you know, West Virginia's never had a minority head coach. Uh,
Oh, and I have absolutely no issue with it as long as he's qualified. I don't care if they're black, white,
right.
brown, orange. It doesn't matter to me. But you're right. There are some good ones out there, and I mean, DeMar Johnson might even get a shot. Who knows? Eric Martin, But anywho, anything. I tend to agree with you. By the way, I don't think the players should help because these guys are only going to be here 1-2 years for the most part.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't
another good point.
you can't decide the future of the program 5, 10, 20 years down the road based on guys that are here 1 or 2 years. But I just wanted to ask your opinion on that. It made me think of it for some reason.
Right.
But that being said, is there anything else you want to say before we call it a night?
I want to thank all you guys, man. 300 people steadily throughout the night in the chat. Was not expecting quite so many of you guys to turn out, even though this is real big news. We just appreciate all you guys do for us on all our channels. Hoops from the Hills, Couz's Corner, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. We really appreciate you guys. Hit the like button before you leave tonight. Leave a comment. We appreciate you guys. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Thank you so much for being the fans that you are. And if you're not a fan, we appreciate you guys for coming in here and listening to us talk.
Yeah, we do. And one more thing, Paul. Somebody put a comment. It made me. I hate to keep dragging this out, man, but I keep thinking of these interesting things. We've joked a lot about West Virginia about being the top party school in the country. Maybe we need to stop doing that. Maybe we're a part of our own downfall. And I'm not saying that had anything to do with Huggins' issue, but my point as far as our
Stigma.
reputation and the stigma around our university, maybe we need to stop embracing that so much, and try to improve our image instead of, does that make sense? And then maybe things like this that do happen wouldn't be such a huge black eye like it can become. But if we didn't have
Brad
the image,
Smith just messaged me.
If we didn't have the image already, did anything that we can share?
He said to tell us thank you for kind of going to bat for him.
Oh yeah. Well, it bugs me when people judge people that they've never even had a conversation with.
Agreed.
But anywho, guys, with that being said, it's 11:04 p.m. Eastern time. We've been on here for an hour and 34 minutes. We appreciate the support, guys. Appreciate the love, the comments, the likes, the super chats, all of that, guys. If you're watching this back on the replay, you can still like, you can still comment. All that helps the algorithm, man. It helps our channels, all three of these channels grow. So stick with us, guys. There will be more football news coming. There'll be more basketball news coming. We need a little less than 200 more subscribers to get this Hoops from the Hills channel to 1,000, so we can start making some cash.
If every one of you guys went and subscribed to Hoops from the Hills right now that are not already subscribed,
we'd be close,
you would get us almost there, man. If you can hear this message, go to Hoops from the Hills and hit that subscribe button, man. It would mean a whole lot. It really would.
This is a test from your emergency broadcast system.
And, put a lot of work into this.
Yeah, we do. All right, guys. And thanks, Dark Blue Ink, for that comment. Crypt Keeper, man, I have not seen you on here in forever. My gosh, he was one of my first subscribers. What's up, man? I've been wondering.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, John.
Yeah, we thank you guys. Once again, guys, thanks a lot, and we're finally going to sign off. We've been saying that for 10 minutes, but we're out. Thanks for the support.
Bob Huggins for life.